Greetings, King.
Positive energy to all.
Positive energy. How do you feel, man? How's your mental?
Oh, it's holistic, it's all positive energy.
Nice.
And yes, yes,
I
it
love to
is.
hear that, man. Um, Week's been good.
Yes, it's been flowing. Uh, Everything is holistic and just enjoying life.
So this is the
Doesn't.
finale, huh?
Oh yeah, this is number 10, Beyond Thought.
Wow, I'm happy to hear that, man. How many weeks has it been?
It had to be 10 weeks.
Damn.
So you're happy to hear it. You're like, Yahoo! but but I am playful today for some reason.
Hey, man. Sometimes
A little bit more playful.
the universal energy feels like that. It's good. It's good to play when everybody else is sad. You gotta be up tempo and have that high love and energy about you. You know, it's pretty much what it is, King. It's pretty much what it is. Happy you're
Yes.
in a playful mood. You and the Queen did a phenomenal job earlier. I
Oh
was like,
yes. Yeah.
I was like, man, I need to let him. I need to let him do that shit more often, and fade into the background. You know, Rich is good. For everybody that don't know, I'm actually setting him up so he can take over. Don't tell him that though.
No, don't tell me that. Mm.
Rich, we at the final chapter of the book, man. Beyond thought. Beyond thought is righteous action. Action beyond thought is the energy of inner peace. It is pure, righteous, meditative, insightful action, therefore, constant awareness of firsthand learning and not living according to any man made authority. It is not a secondhand lifestyle of the psychological program who follow ideas, path, or methods of invented significance trying to learn how to behave. Light of enlightenment or touch of the untouchable is the energy of the righteous action of learning firsthand. Beyond thought is a clear, righteous mind. When the mind is clear, it's free from all the conditioning created by thought. Therefore, allowing the pure, righteous light of the freedom of loves, understanding, and intelligence live within you. It is the insightful order of love. It is sacred energy healing the heart of humanity. A mutation of the mind by the opening of our third eye. First eye, pineal gland. You discover universe, nature, and the human body is one holistic existent and the only existent in your entire life that will never lie to you. Rich,
Yes. Yes. That being said, um, it's walking with an existence that doesn't lie to you. That is walking with the truth, the action of the truth. Because Beyond Thought, the title of the book is Beyond Thought, Living Without Hurt and Depression. And the last chapter of the book is taught Beyond Thought because it's um, pretty much of uh, the holistic action of all that's in the book. And that holistic action is freedom, the action of freedom. And when you're walking with something that doesn't lie to you and you can't lie to it, when you're walking with that existence, uh, there's no illusions because there's no lies, there's no uh, conflict, there's no complication, there's no confusion. So that's a light. That's a light. You're walking in the light, which is truth, which is pathless, but it's an enlightenment of experiencing uh, dawn after dawn and learning in the journey of life firsthand. It's the action of freedom, spiritually, psychologically, because in that freedom, you're not being controlled by fear. Now we all get scared, we all get concerned, we all get nervous, but we're not being controlled by this nervousness or fear. We're not being controlled by that. And we're walking with what's already been and being explained. So it's like, you know, someone watching the sun and a clear horizon, and then someone walks up to them and say, "What are you doing?" "I'm watching this clear horizon." And then someone says, "Well, let me show you how to look at this. Let me show you how to look at that. Stand like this and put your head to the east or to the west." It's that's all what I say in the book. That's all of um, the false authority, the mind games that's created. So beyond thought is the action of freedom. That means, and there's no mind games. You're not following any mind games. Everything is, you see things as they are. It's a real beautiful thing.
I read the first couple chapters, not chapters, what am I saying? Paragraphs to open the live. And that was like the bliss within a nutshell. And for people that's not flowing beyond thought, how, yes, how, you're going to throw a little why in there. And why is it important for them to get there beyond thought?
Well, we're born free, meaning since beyond thought is the action of freedom, we're born free. That means we're not born with fear. We're not born being controlled by fear. It's something that we learn. It's something that we're conditioned into. It's something that we're programmed to put in everything that we think and do in terms of problems. You know, they as soon as we're 5 years old, we go to kindergarten and they give us all of these problems, the math problem, the problems, and we think that this is a way of life. That problems is a way of life, and problems is what we're gonna have to figure out in life. Now, problems happen in life. The actual definition of a problem means like it's something that comes up or something that's thrown at you. And yes, that happens. But we don't have to go through life fearing, uh, expecting, wanting, because we're born with everything we need. And uh, when we're born, we're holistic. We're one with the universe. We're close to the universe. We just come out of the water at a woman's womb, And then the baby's born, and the woman embraces the baby with natural love. There's no script going on, there's no path. The woman holds the baby to her heart, in which her where her breasts are, and the baby has the milk there. So it's obvious that a baby can't do anything on its own, but the mother is there to where the mother can't even get away. That is the purpose of the umbilical cord. Yes, there's nourishment and DNA going back and forth, but it's where the baby cannot get away from the mother, and the mother can't get away from the baby, because one thing we all need is love. And that baby is one with the universe and the mother, and the umbilical cord should stay on as they love each other. That's that love, that bond, that common bond, which is the action of common sense. And it's it's so deep, is, is that that umbilical cord falls off by itself as the baby goes through the loving of the mother. Because yeah, especially as a man, it's tough to talk about these things, and some men don't like to talk about it. That's one of the great things about Mental Rolodeck. We talk seriously. We're playful, but but we talk about things that people cringe at and don't want to talk about, especially men. We are human. Yes, we're masculine and all that has its place. We must protect our children and our woman and our space. But there's another side of life, that we all need love. I don't care how hard or masculine you are. Yes, men cry. Yes, men are sensitive. But like water, water is the softest substance, uh, but yet most powerful. And so, in that love with the baby and the mother, the baby is naturally learning as the cub follows the lioness and then it grows up to be a great king, a great lion king. Uh, you know, but the mother is first, and that love instills all of that power and masculinity and sensitivity, because in all of that, beyond thought, in all of that, the baby is actually learning firsthand a natural action of consciousness to know when and when not to be sensitive, be hard, be be whatever it needs to be. It's a very, very deep thing.
So, what do you mean by authority negates freedom to investigate? Therefore, it creates leaders and followers. I'm sorry, calling them flowers. Yeah, we should say flowers. um, Followers. Authority is deliberate conditioning
Yeah,
that perpetuate dependency. Expound upon that.
yeah. It's back to uh, you, say you're watching that clear horizon, and you're peaceful, and you very realized, and taking it in, and communicating with the universe, and this is health. This is the action of freedom, which is the action of health and sanity. And then someone comes along and says, "Hey, you're doing it all wrong. You're looking at the sun wrong. You're taking in this new day wrong." And it's that. And then if someone listens to that and get drawn away from the peace that they already had with that, the fellowship, now that person becomes an authority. And that authority, once you start investigating that authority, it'd be like, well, I was feeling good already. Everything was fine. Um, it's like what the religions do with the religious books. You can't doubt it. You can't investigate it. It says do this or go to hell, or do this or you'll be punished. Now that has its place, It's a book of admonishment. But however, when you question it, when you investigate it, they don't want you to doubt it. But they change that word of doubt to faith, or you just gotta have faith. Anything that can't be explained, it's like beyond thought is living with the undivided now. That means you're flowing with the experiencing the now. But whenever you want to question authority, they say, well, have faith. In religion, they say, have faith. You have to believe. Just believe it. Well, that takes me out of the now. Anything that can't be explained, they want you to have faith. But in the undivided now, the explanation is not the explained. The Bible or the Quran or the Torah or whatever religious book that has rules and regulations and all these beautiful writings, the writings and the language is beautiful, you must admit. However, it's the script, and the action of love has no script because truth has no path. This is something that's very obvious. But to put a path to it, this is where you get all of these different religions. Okay, this is the truth according to Christianity. This is the truth according to Islam. This is the truth according to Jews. This is the truth according to uh, uh, Arabs or Indians. Or you know, the truth is the truth. It can't be programmed and retailed and sold. You
So
know,
that falls back to e what's it called? The immeasurable.
yes, the holy immeasurable. That's what my book is talking about. My book is not a religion. It's just said if you look at life and investigate the investigator, you know, and let the explain look at what's already been explained, which is the action of nature in the universe and your human body. Now, if if you have somebody, if you're watching something correctly, you're letting it tell you what it is. If you have an interpreter, that's somebody explaining what you have. That's the middleman. The God is in you. I don't call it God or Jehovah or anything. I just say that so people know what I'm saying. But in you is the holy immeasurable. The word holy comes from the word holistic and whole. But this God that everyone refers to, I say it's immeasurable because there's no ceiling on the universe. There's no boundaries on the universe. There's no bottom to the universe. So it has to be immeasurable. It is immeasurable. But thought is a controller. So thought says, let me measure it. See, then God created the world in 6 days. Then the world was this. See, that's measuring. See, so it has to come from thought. They say, well, the book was inspired by God and his prophets. Well, it's still explaining.
With that being stated, though, it's actually showing us that we are who, because everything that we would like to create comes from where darkness, thought, right? So, would you say that that book is actually speaking on us being the God?
If the book was speaking on us being a God, it wouldn't have prophets. It wouldn't have. You have to come through Jesus. You have to listen to Muhammad.
But what
It
I'm
would.
saying, what I'm really saying is, look at this, right? You went through trials, errors, you went through whatever endeavor you went through, and you conjured this book. So, let me correct myself. Not that the book is saying that you are God. I'm the book I'm speaking of is the book you just referenced, which was the Bible, right?
Mm,
That's what the Bible indicates.
mm.
So, in order for us to create man in our own image, right, there has to be thought. I understand there's different levels to it, and we're going beyond the surface of it. But that darkness starts within us. That darkness is eternal, and when it comes to light, is us taking it from inside of us and bringing it on the outside of us. Can you explain that?
Well, in the book, in this chapter, I, I just, um, I just say that we're born holistically one with the universe, with the holy immeasurable and earth and nature. We're conditioned out of that, you know, and uh, when when something is immeasurable, uh, yes, you can see if you look up in the sky that you don't see a ceiling or boundaries or top or bottom, but you do see blackness. No matter how great the stars are, the background is black. So this light comes from blackness. Doesn't this blackness see in beyond when you're beyond thought, you don't see blackness as something a bad thing. You see blackness as an energy, like carbon is in. There's no electricity without carbon, and carbon is the blackest source in the universe. So you're seeing a black background to all of this great lights. There are stars greater than the sun, and that's in you. That's in us. It's beyond the book. It's beyond thought because thought is a controller. So thought will try to explain its way of everything because thought is limited, but thought thinks it's unlimited. So thought will put this whole existence in a story, but you will see the flaws in it and the contradictions in it because the wholly immeasurable is immeasurable. It's energy. But a book will say, well, it created all of this in 6 days and then it rested on the seventh day. If something has to rest, it is limited. You could kill it.
Wow, that sounds like a corporation.
Yes, it does. You can't shoot down the sun. You can't shoot down the moon. Nature has a final say. You don't have, and beyond thought, there's no fear. We're in a crisis right now. I don't care if they bring down whatever, they cannot destroy the movement of positive energy. They,
So, what do you say about people that actually believe the sun actually rises and fall versus actually changing locations?
well, that's what thought and the mind games do. And it manages your perception. Someone says the world is flat. Someone says the world is round. Someone says, well, the sun is rising. Someone says, well, the earth is turning. But if you look at life and nature without a middleman, without an interpreter, you will see and feel what's actually going on because earth will tell you, the universe will tell you. My book is not a religion. It's not a cult. It's not a must and must not. It's not telling people how to look. It's not telling people how to live. It's saying, look, and people ask me publicly, well, how can I get to this? Wow, this is sounds like nirvana. This is how can I get to it? And I tell people you can't find it in a church, in a synagogue or a temple or mosque. It's like, well, how can I get to it? I say, well, you can't go to college or university for it. You can't control it. You can't fake it. You can't think it. You can't teach it. You can't seek it. You can't buy it. You can't negotiate it. It happens. It happens when you're no longer a slave to tradition, ideas, words, scripts, and scriptures. It's the liberation. When you're liberated from what's been blocking you, you're free to see and communicate with this existence of truth. And you'll feel the earth move. No one can tell when this awareness, no one can tell you what's going on because you see and feel what actually is going on. But you got to get rid of all of the cause of your ignorance first. All that has to go. It's
So,
like, you know,
so thought told me to shave my head and put on orange robe and become a monk to get to that nirvana, but it's not actually so.
that's the path.
Yeah.
They come up with these paths, where there's a path, there's no truth in it. I mean, there's some truth and there's some things has their uh, its path is like thought, idea. Every idea is a path. It has its place, but when it comes to inner peace, seeing and walking with the truth, a path, it's paths are not free and flexible.
So that's why we're so inconsistent with the program we create, like take dieting for instance. We'll say, you know what, we're gonna fast for 7 days. Then the next 7 days we're back at eating the poisons that we fasted for
Yeah,
in the first
yeah,
place.
right.
And then like, oh, we gonna fast again, and then we eat the same poison again. It's like running in a circle. That it's like everyone is on the hamster wheel doing the same thing over and over again, not seeing that the truth is within them and it's on the outside, and it's called nature. You know, like I've yet to see a man actually overcome a river.
That's an excellent point because it, beyond thought, walking beyond thought is complete action. Incomplete action, you jump around and then the next day you have the same problem. You go out, you handle life superficially. You're like, well, I'm feeling down. Let me go out to the club, or the rich man or say, the wealthy man say, let me fly to Paris. And then you fly back home, you're still, depression comes back. It's like taking a drink. You get drunk. Let me get drunk and forget about all this. Then after the, the inebriation wears off, you're depressed again you know. So where there's superficial action and incomplete activity, there is insecurity, and it takes you to a momentum that that's downward. But walking beyond thought, where there's no freedom and you see things as they are, your actions are complete. Your perception is direct. In activity, your perception is managed. Where there's authority, that's what authority does. It manages your perception. You don't see it for yourself, so you don't know it. You don't see it. You're it's secondhand. And I don't attack religions. If you're a Christian, that's fine. The Christian is a Christian for the same reason why a Jewish man follows a rabbi. The Jewish man following the rabbi is doing it for the same reason that a Muslim or somebody's Islam. And I know they'll get upset with me saying that, but I was like, because each person sees that there's something more to life than just pleasure seeking and cars and homes and business and success and fame or whatever. See, they see that there's something more. Nobody's no better than the other. They just choose these paths. But in these paths is incomplete activity. You're in these paths, your perception is being managed. Because if you're Islam, you're looking at the world according to Islam. If you're a Christian, you're looking at the world according to a Christian. If you're Jewish, you're looking at the world according to a Jew. That's not the whole world. That's fine. There's good people in it. Those people are important. We're no better than those people. I'm no better than those people. But there's more world. The world is whole. It's holistic. The world is social. The world is not according to how you see it.
So Who is it according to?
It's according to the explanation is not the explained. The explanation is the according to. The explained is the movement of nature itself. That sun being exposed in the morning, that sun appearing, that that rain falling, that volcano erupting, that earthquake, you
Is
know,
it is it the butterfly in its cocoon for however long it's in it, and then it just comes out as this beautiful gem
yes,
just flying around from flower to flower?
yes, that is the action of order. See that the action of nature is the action of order. And order has its own discipline. It is not according to a script. Everything it does is good. It's,
So, pretty much what you're stating is with thought, we rupture that cocoon too soon. So we don't see the immeasurable action. Is It's the same as the child within the stomach of its mom, right? And they be like, oh, you gotta have an early birth. Or once that child come out, they clip their biblical cord versus actually falling off, and the kid getting back those nutrients and truth of itself in connection to its mom.
yes, exactly. I mean, scientists have taken cocoons and opened them up prematurely to see what's going on. This is where we get the medical field and scientific and science from because they have to do the work and the dissections to see this, and they come up with their theories in there. I mean, it has its place in their world, but nature does everything it's the action of truth, or its order has its own discipline. It's the action of freedom is going to be good for you if you leave it alone. See, Earth doesn't need the thought of man. Earth brought man into existence, and then man, and see that's where they get to think God created man in His image. No, man created God in His image. When you want to put past and books to it,
I need that explanation.
because
That that right there, I need that explanation. Not for me,
mm,
but for the audience that's listening. And I'm going to give you that time to explain that sincerely, King, because that is very, yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, in that observation, in that action of awareness, when thought uh, when thought is no longer controlling what you're watching or looking or feeling or seeing, you see that the action of universe and nature is one with your inner being, and everything is doing is good. There's no such thing as bad weather. And you see that it's not about how we see things or what we think is true or false, or the philosopher or the scholar or the rabbi or the preacher or the minister or the monk or the guru. It's all about the actual action of truth that is being shown by the universe in the present now. Because in the present now is undivided action of earth and nature. It's the only existence that's alive is the present now. We can remember what happened yesterday. We can try to approximate the future. But right now, what's going on is the movement of positive energy. But when you want to, it's never static. It's always moving. But thought is a controller. So thought will try to, wow, it's going to try to control it. So thought it says, well, why is it moving? Why is it never static? Why is it so powerful? And And it has to be a God somewhere because this is fantastic things that's going on: rain, snow, and seasons, and meteors, and stars, and mountains. This is an awesome place. They see that Earth is alive, and so they'll create something to try to control it, and they try to control universe, Earth, and humanity. So they create these books, they create these stories. They put they say, well, it has to be a God, which is correct, but this is an immeasurable existence. So they make it's immeasurable. That means it's unlimited, and so they put limitation on God and say, well, first of all, they say it's a him. Oh, it's a male. They refer to God as a him, and then they refer to God as having a son or a prophet or a middleman to get to you. This is how you get to know this universe, and and God created you in His image, which really is there's deceptive action of trying to control this. They're putting God in their image of something that's puffed up in their own limited mind, trying to control. So I said, yes, And so he created this day by day like he was some kind of construction worker. Then he rested on Sunday. And, they put this path to creation. And if you really look at it, I'm just telling people to look at this. If you're just going to say God created all of this and then he rested, now that takes away. It's a contradiction here because this immeasurable existence is not a man. It's out there, but it's not a man, so you can't refer to it as a him. That's a violation. That's a violation because something that is that good, something that is that awesome and immeasurable, it's a violation to put any limitation on it, to even put it in a book and say this is the book. That's a violation because you just limited that. It's a violation to nature. It's a violation to the universe, and it's a violation to a human being to say this is how you look at life and to follow this God. And how is it a violation of earth? You got to chop down a tree to write that book. You have you have to look at this very deeply. That what beyond thought means. Walking with freedom naturally. So to put this immeasurable existence in a book, that's limitation because you have to put words in this book. And words is never the actual action, person, place, or thing. Words are never the actual word. If you read words, it manages your perception. That is the explanation. They're explaining this existence in a book, but it's already been explained by nature. You see the seasons change. You see the ants work together. You see the the rain falls with the gentle grace of the holy immeasurable. If someone drop a penny from the top of a building and hit you in the head, it busts your skull. But these
So
raindrops fall from far away and it doesn't affect you.
just bounce off.
That's the awesomeness of this. You can't put that in a book.
So listening to what you're really saying is the universe is everything. And because we wanted to interpret it in a man's mind, we alter everything that is righteous about the universe and make it limited.
Yes. And that's where that word becoming comes from. You said the key word. You make it limited. So now you have to become something. You have to become, uh, see, becoming. But in enlightenment, when enlightenment touches you, you're enlightened. So there's no becoming in that. So
So so that's why we move around as if we were created versus grown,
Yes.
right? Because
Yes.
something that's created is not natural, but something that's grown is natural. So it's the placements of the words and the programming within the system that we are a part of. It's Matrix, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why, I'm very careful with words because words are never the actual action, person, place, or thing. Words are paths and words are explanations. You don't need to explain something that's already been explained. It's already there. I mean, I get it. Paths have their purpose. You have to learn what to do on the job. You have to learn how to drive a car. You have to learn how to do things. But when it comes to inner peace and seeing and walking with this that that fear doesn't control. We're in a crisis right now. We need to be beyond thought. This is a time where you don't want fear controlling you.
So
Be,
why do we put fear upon ourselves? Why do we limit ourselves? Where did that limitation come from? Because if the universe is righteous and it's going to flow regardless, why are we limiting ourselves? And where did that come from, King? Like, when did we start putting that or those limitations on ourselves? And what is the need for these
right,
limits
right.
or limitation?
If you look at this very deeply, it's almost obvious to where it came from. I mean, if you look at, let's just say you're in Africa and you're living, uh, and you're aware of the herbs around you, and you're eating off the vine, the best berries, and you're eating the best fruits and the iron of the leaves and the plants, and you have your woman and your children, and life is good. But things happen in life. You could trip over a log, or you can uh, come to a time that maybe you're wondering about something. But you have everybody's working together like ants. So that everybody picks each other up. Then somebody comes along and says, "Hey, you don't have to be. Let me tell you why things fall and hurt you. Let me tell you why you feel down, or things that every day is not happy like you want it, or like you see it. Come here, I got the goods. You just follow this." And then once you go outside of yourself, it cancels out the inside of yourself. And generation after generation, this perpetuates. And people say, "Well, no, that's too far fetched," but they don't think it's far fetched when they believe these stories in the Bible of whales swallowing people and donkeys talking and snakes talking and all these things, because they're so outside of the simplicity of inner over and understanding. They're programmed to deal with complications, so they can't see anything simple. They can't see that uh, the most available herb is dandelion, and that is it will keep you alive, but they call it a weed. See, they can we condition out of it. We just pass it on to our children, and in that, like, we come to a crisis now. This crisis has been brewing for a long time, which people have overlooked it because they got comfortable with their cars, with their ego, and then it's like a Trojan horse that's been there the whole time, and now the soldiers are coming out. But you never questioned and investigated that horse that's been inside you. You never investigated that religion. You never investigated that government. You never investigated anything. You've been compromised. You've been deceived by this science of deception, and and you can't see that. But deep down inside, if you get rid of all that false authority, that's what I'm saying in the book, you will see that experience happened and people affected them, and fear came from that experience because you're trying to make sure that that bad experience won't happen again. So now fear is controlling you, whether you're unaware that fear is controlling you when you're trying not to make a mistake. That's fear controlling you, because fear is a master of disguise. Therefore, it's a master of escapes. They say, well, God is going to come down and do this. And only somebody that's scared is going to believe that. Only somebody that's been deceived is going to believe that. Only somebody that doesn't investigate is going to believe that. It's like me giving you a new car. And you'd be like, "Oh, great! I've been needing the car, man. Great." I say, "Yeah, man. Just give me $5,000. It's yours. Here, man. Here, take $10,000, man, because I was going to pay $50,000 on a new car." It's like, "Yeah, thanks, man." And I'm gone. And then you go out there. The car has 145,000 miles on it. Needs tires, and you didn't investigate. All you were looking at is your desires, and once they keep feeding us with fulfilling our desires and pleasures, which and that makes somebody overlook and not investigate what's actually going on. That leads you to a crisis. And and beyond thought, you're investigating the investigator. It's a natural action.
So, okay, we put ourselves in these issues, right? We don't investigate, right? And due to the lack of investigation, we then turn around and say, you know what? There's a lesson supposedly God
Yeah,
or the universe is trying to
yeah,
teach me. But what will happen if we never took on these limitations and continue to walk within path of these limitations? What do you think, or where would we be right now within this spectrum of society?
you saying if we didn't, if we wasn't deceived,
Absolutely.
oh, it would be we would have a community like the ants. We would have a community like the silverback gorilla, who has a great immune system and togetherness with his family and live 200 years. That's what the silverback gorilla does. If you take him out of the forest, alkaline forest, put him in the zoo, he lives 50 years. So at one time we did live past 100 years old. No, you're not going to hear this from the news or school. At one time we had an alkaline environment and ate alkaline food and drank spring water until somebody came along and invaded that and manipulated us out of it. And this crisis we're dealing with today is just an example of that slow wick getting closer to the bomb. We would be living beyond thought because thought would be in its place. Thought has its place, but but thought's place. But when it comes to peace and fellow and and if you don't think I'm telling the truth, just look at technology because thought has created great technology, surgery, and we split the atom and and the technology of refrigeration and heat and thought has done incredible things. But unfortunately, this great technology hasn't changed us psychologically and spiritually because we're still barbaric and jealous and envious and we're still killing each other. So thought is you always have to upgrade it. You always have to upgrade that refrigerator. You look at a refrigerator today, it doesn't look like the refrigerator in the 50s. But walking beyond thought, you're in complete action. No matter what the technology is, it's incomplete. This is why anybody that's fearing 5G or fearing what's going to happen out of this crisis that we're in, this coronavirus or 5G, whatever you want to call it, remember that technology and evil is always incomplete. It's always going to be something that where it's going to prevent it from defeating what's good. It doesn't mean that nobody's going to die. It doesn't mean that it, maybe not some people die, but evil did not create this beautiful place. Thought did not create this beautiful place. That's what I mean by thought puts God in his image. And so that's a violation. So thought creates science and all this stuff because it's the deception is thought is trying to control the universe. Thought is trying to figure out the weakness of God. This is why it's putting up 5G and all of that. If evil could defeat good, wouldn't you think that evil would have done it already? It's always incomplete. There's always something going wrong. It's a great movie called The Fly, where the scientist pushed away his wife and his family because he's this great scientist, and he was a great scientist. What he was trying to invent was I don't know if you ever seen the original Fly. He's trying to invent where somebody could travel from one space to another. He's trying to do what the internet is doing now, what online is doing now, where somebody can punch into China through an email or Australia or wherever. And the great thing about this movie, he accomplished what he was trying to do. He put an inanimate object in one cylinder, and the other cylinder is supposed to appear in, because his whole thing was like this will eliminate planes and everything. Somebody can get in one cylinder, push a button to New York, and be in New York and appear in New York through that cylinder. So he put a saucer in there, and then he pushed the button, and then it appeared in the other saucer. And he's like, "Yes, I did it." And so he said, "Now let me try it if it can do it on a human." But the technology is always incomplete. When he did it with the saucer, and the bottom of the saucer it said "Made in China." And then when it appeared in the other place, the words was backwards. So he went back and did the calculation. He did it again, and it worked. So he said, "I'm going to put myself in there. And I'm going to show the world that I can transport myself without wirelessly and without physically, and just go from one place to another." So he put himself in there, and he transported himself, and it worked. But he was unaware that a fly was in the cylinder with him. And so when he came out on the other side, he was half man and half fly. It's a very simple movie, but a very deep movie if you look at it, because this is what they've been trying to do. So whatever they're trying to do, it's not going to work, because it's always incomplete and it's always a flaw they overlook.
And everything that is programmed or have a path on it will eventually dies.
Yes, yes.
Copy. Where do we go from here?
Well, that's what the path says. You know, when you're on a path, it's always where do we go from here. But if you're flowing with the universe, with the truth, if you're flowing beyond thought, you don't ask that question, because you're already where you're supposed to be. I'm not saying not have goals, don't have motivation to be good. I'm just saying be the best you can be. My book is saying, look and be the best of you. Don't compare you to anyone else, because when you're the best of you, there's no comparison. Flow with your energy. Just be the best of you every day. Eat the best you can, exercise the best you can, and flow the best you can, and treat people the best you can. I don't need a goal for that, because I'm flowing. But if I'm self-centered, if I'm if my ego takes over, that's a different story.
You ever notice the man that structures his life and set goals? I'm not saying goals are bad, but I believe in actually living with accomplishing things, but don't put a name to it, right? Just live. Because if you live within the now and not apply name to anything, you flow.
Mm.
But when you apply name to it, right, it goes back to the limitation that Rich is speaking on. It's like once you accomplish that, you just check it off. And if you keep a journal or a diary, like most of us, go back within a couple of years and look at all you've checked off, right? It's like there's no end to it. And enough is never enough, and because we look at enough not being enough, we traumatize ourselves. Let's take food in the body, for instance. We overeat. And when we overeat, we put our body in a state of shock. So the body fights harder to rinse itself of whatever poison or chemical or harmful substance that we have put into it, versus a person that, eat, say, like a spoon of dandelion with one piece of fish. Their system flushes quicker. And the body is programmed per se Let me so y'all can understand program per se, where it flushes and cleans itself quicker, and it knows what to expect. So therefore, it's always in a state of happiness, righteousness, like Rich like to say, and it's more healthier versus a traumatized body. You get bloated, you have all types of complication, acid reflux. Um, the trauma brings forth stress. You get fat. Um, it's like you're a walking contradiction to the universe.
Exactly. It's a violation, big violation. Why would you want to violate that? The earth doesn't need your thought. The earth extricates itself away from evil. It does it naturally. It doesn't need you to think for it. Earth was here before humanity. Humanity came from earth. You are nature. You are the DNA of the tree. If someone is messing with the tree, they're messing with you. If you want to destroy human beings, destroy the trees. But you can't destroy the trees because you can't destroy earth. You can kill a human being physically. But but people need to, what my book is saying, my book is, again, it's not a religion. It's not telling you how to look. It's saying to look and let the universe tell you. When you're alive, they can't kill you. You don't need to be afraid or let fear control you when it comes to revolution because they can't kill you. Yes, physically, they can in your physical life, but in terms of your energy, that'll never die. It can't die. Why should it die? Because it's good. Good good doesn't die.
Source, source, and they
It
they they implement the truth within the lies too. But it's like we gravitate more to the lies than we do the truth.
Yes, yes, yes. It's
That's the
amazing.
code. That's the coding.
Yes, yes,
The fine print.
exactly. Exactly. So, thought is limited. Whatever thought tries to take over what's unlimited, there has to be a fine print. There's no way around it. So, thought is limited.
But they'll be like, no, Rich, it's not limited. And then I
Of
look at them
course.
like, why you stress?
Yes.
Why you have cancer? Why are you hurting right now? Why do you feel like, you know, you're so drained from eating something that's supposed to give you energy?
Yes.
Right? We have the right concepts, but the wrong action. And we should
Yes.
have the right action and the
Yes.
wrong concept. Like it's it's a double standard. Man,
And you can't get caught. See, once thought is out of place, dysfunction, you give birth to dysfunction. Thought is limited no matter what the circumstance. I don't care what people have thought. We wouldn't have great inventions without thought. We wouldn't have some of this great. We're talking on a cell. I'm talking on a cell phone. We're talking online, a computer. It's a great thing. It's an awesome thing, but it's not complete. There's always fine print. There's always something that's going to affect your health. That's why if you take a plant from the earth that's natural, it's going to affiliate with your body. But if you take that herb, the Queen Anne lace, and then you take a wild yam and a scientist fuse them together or glue it together with glucose, you get the carrot. That's a violation. It's going to make you sick eventually. So no matter what, when thought interferes with nature, it's going to be conflict. It's going to be complication. It's going to be sickness and disease and possibly even death.
and go back to it. Take the carrot for instance. If you consume too much, you get what's it called, vitamin A poisoning.
The what?
The carrot gives you vitamin A, right? Supposedly.
Mm.
So they tell you if you consume too much, you can get vitamin A poisoning.
Yeah,
So
which
it makes no sense, because if it's natural of the earth, and then you program us to believe that, oh, you got to do everything in moderation.
yes.
So if we're flowing with the universe and we getting our herbs and our food from the universe, right? We don't have to worry about the complication because it's flowing
Yes.
versus conditions. And that's just what it is. It's like, man, the more I do these things, the more I do these lives with you, it's like it forces me to remove myself from the surface. I'm not even gonna front. Like a lot of things I was aware of and I tapped into them frequently and sometimes accidentally, right? But like ever since I started like chopping it up with you and figuring out certain things, is like I started looking at things differently, you know? And that's another level of intelligence. Like, yeah, I was intelligent before, but the more I dig into this, is like my intelligence heightens and I truly see everything for what it really is. You know, like used to stay in the house and meditate versus going outside and actually stand barefoot within the grass because all the
Yes.
elements are
Yes.
within that earth and it
Yes.
just feels and it hits different. You know, you can
Mhm.
hear the withering of the trees, the breeze, and the birds are chirping, and it just feels like the perfect serenade.
Yes. It's a beautiful thing. And because oxygen is there. See, in this form, see, we're like water, you know, we can adjust, we can manipulate, we can, not in a bad way, but we're just free and flexible like water. So so man, humanity can speak different languages. It can make inventions and this great science. It's obvious that people are versatile and and where one is weak, the other one is strong, but together nothing can defeat us. It's just like water, you know? It's just like water. You can take uh, you can take water in the palm of your hand and manipulate it and take it away from the ocean, but you can't manipulate the ocean. That's not the ocean. See, and so we can see these great things within us, but the body in this form that we're in, we used to be in the mother's womb, living underwater. In this form, we need oxygen in a physical body. So when you, it's like what you're saying, Jermaine, when you're standing with bare feet on the soil and breathing in that oxygen outside, that's health, that's sanity. You know, a house was created by thought, so it's going to be conflict in that thought. And so we wasn't born naked, we was born natural, meaning the whole body is an organ, the skin is the largest organ, it needs oxygen.
But look, go back to the creation of man, right? What was the name of the tree that supposedly Adam and Eve wasn't supposed to eat from?
Right, you know, the tree of knowledge, right?
Oh, so with knowledge, you found out you were naked versus being natural.
Yes, you know, they
The truth within the lie, the
right,
deception.
right. You see the deception, the science of the deception, right?
And the apple represents the womb of the woman, right? The
Mm-hmm,
atom represents your DNA,
mm-hmm,
period. And if you go deeper, it's like the Y and the X chromosome, right?
mm-hmm.
And we fight for this every single day. Oh, you're feminine, I'm masculine, you're the man, I'm the woman,
Right.
and they flow together. You cannot create life without each other. And we see this on a daily basis, but yet we still believe in a fairy tale and be like, oh, he created us from the earth. Yeah, to an extent it makes sense if you look at it, because once your flesh decays, you go back to the earth, and everything, that's all the elements are within you. So yeah, it makes sense to that degree, but you have to look at the deception and what they use to actually program you. They give you the truth, but they
Yes.
twist it. And your
Yes.
heart really knows what the truth is, but yet we fight our heart with our egos. No, we can't get rid of our ego. We can silence it. We can control it and let it be what it's there for, because we create it as a defensive mechanism out of fear to warn us when certain things come. But we got so in tune with it, it want to be you. It starts controlling you. You
Yes.
forgot that you're the actual live living thing.
And you are God. And God is in you if you want to put the
That's
word
my
to it.
that's
Yes.
my point from the first question I asked you. Because if you really do pay attention to everything, right? Darkness is within you. Like nobody can tell me how you look inside, right? By just looking at your flesh. Yeah, they can run to a book and like, oh, this is here, that is there, because they opened the body and they saw where it is. But there is nothing shining within the body. So it's within darkness. So within darkness, with the other part of you, which is the woman, you come together and say, let us create man in our own image.
Yes. If in the book I call it the science of deception, where they take you away from your inner self. Now, in the book I also mentioned that light be stay in the light, not on the path, meaning this light comes from blackness. This light is electric. Electricity doesn't exist without carbon. Carbon is the blackest source in the universe. So it comes from blackness. There's a difference between darkness and blackness. This blackness is the black woman, is the blackness of Africa and England and Australia, South and North America. What do you mean? You know, black people is not in the. I'm not talking about blackness. Now, the black people, the black woman was first. This is scientific proof. But what I'm saying is the soil in any part of the earth or planet, whether it's in North America or Great Britain or England or wherever you want to call it, or Australia or Southeast Asia, under the soil is blackness. The tree is only as great as its root. The roots are in blackness. Life comes from blackness, from carbon. So if you eat carbon-based plants, it's health. The blackness is the life of you. They might not want to admit it. I admit it. I
But
say
look,
it in the book.
but look at this, King. Okay, in the beginning, the tree was what? A seed, right? And you water it, right? Now this tree towers over your house and towers over you, right? Where is it getting this source of energy and water from? Do you still
Exactly.
water it? Because it's beyond you now, and the roots run beyond your house. For them to truly remove a tree root, they have to blow it up with dynamite, and that's still not the end of it. It's like an iceberg. You look at the tip and you thought that's it, and you be like, wait, the tip can't just sink ships.
And the tip is only 1/10 above, to 1/10 of the
Exactly.
bird.
Beneath it is massive. So that's what beyond the surface and beyond thought is. Stop
Yes.
looking at the surface level, and our perception lie to us. Our perception have us content and fail to pretty much ask these questions. Nobody want to ask the why, because we're content with the bullshit that we're fed every single day. Oh, you need money. All right, cool. I need money based on the economy and how y'all set up society. Cool. My kid also needs my energy. They need my present. They need me to lead. And guess what? That leadership is not going to come with the money. So at what point do I actually look at it and say, you know what? Let me stop sacrifice my time and put it into my children and find a way to create my own and create my own versus punching somebody else's clock. Is it necessary? Yes, because you have to use somebody's clock to amplify your dreams. But we become content, we become comfortable. You know, we have this loan, and you know the house decays and we go buy another one because it looks better, it looks greater, and we're doing the same thing. So it's like we're dying with death, and our family now has to take on those debt. And they tell you, oh, this is an asset. Like, what's an asset? Something that decays. Is just like they kill an animal and put it within a store and told you it's fresh, right? But how can
Right,
anything
right,
that dies be
right.
fresh? If it's dead, how is it fresh?
Hello.
Think about that. How is it fresh if it's dead?
That's
Like
the
we
science.
put, man, it goes deeper, Rich. Like, you be making me rant, fam. Like, um, and we put our limits on the universe as well. Like, oh, this is fall, this is autumn, this is summer, this is winter, and blah blah blah, as if the universe is just spitting out what it really is, right? But we don't follow the proper order. We're still limited.
And why are we limited? Because of we're following this science of deception of thought. That's what Beyond Thought this chapter is about. It's going over all the other nine sessions that we talked about. It's bringing, it's it's showing you that the universe is talking to you. Look, we're but a grain of sand, but what's the root of us? The root of us is immeasurable. We're but a grain of sand. If you've ever been on a plane or a helicopter, or you've been looking down on in a high story building, the people are so small. The trucks look like toys. And if you go further to that, say outer space, we're but a grain of sand. But the root of us is immeasurable. So in that action, in my book, I'm saying you're beyond thought. If you go beyond thought, you will live with the immeasurable part of you instead of the temporary part that holds on to fear. And in that there's no debt. Life is simple. Less is more. But we get conditioned, like you were talking about earlier, Jermaine. See, we're conditioned in this system, which is a belief system. Oh, what religion are you? Oh, it's so bad that when somebody dies, they think you're supposed to die of a disease. They'd be like, well, so and so died, but what did he die of? The disease is just a manifestation of you being in violation of not knowing what to eat. And we feel like we're in this belief system. Oh, I believe I'm gonna get a check, so I gotta work.
Well,
And
Rich, I'm gonna
it,
keep eating this damn pork, and it's gonna clog my arteries because I gotta die anyway, right? It's like we remove ourselves before our actual time. We remove ourselves before the universal time.
yes, and we curse ourselves with this language. That's why they say spell it out. You put a spell on yourself when you cursing, and it's just an example of if you don't have the vocabulary to, or the poise, or um, the security within yourself to express yourself correctly. You're cursing your kids, you're cursing you, and it'd be like you hear a kid say, "Hey, mom, where's my juice? It's in the damn refrigerator, damn it!"
But
You
look,
cursing yourself, and
but look, our ancestors left images, King. They left images. So that action proves to us that the language we used to speak was not a curse.
right.
And it's funny that some people be like, oh, people learn different ways. Yes, which is true. Correct. But I guarantee, like, for instance, I can get a new equipment. I can sit here and read it, but I limit myself by reading it. Is reading it good? Cool. Yes, it is. Right. But guess what? I put that I put that shit together quicker by looking at the images. Everything has its place, but certain things is just more effective, especially when you don't have to question it.
You will not fear government. You will not fear war. You will not fear another human being once you see that that human being is nothing but a grain of sand, just like you. But the the root of you is immeasurable with the universe. The universe is on your side. You are Earth. What the trees inhale what we exhale. We inhale what the trees exhale. We're a part of this Earth. And being a part of that Earth, in the book, Beyond Thought, you have to look at life deeply and you see the language of the Earth doesn't speak in words.
Is
You
what
see,
seeing is what you see.
yes, it's showing and telling you exactly what is. You see the holistic existence each dawn, each moon, because you see, and the point I want to make is in the book, in this last chapter, I'm telling the reader that it's not what I say or what you think, is what the earth is saying in the present now. The undivided now is telling us that the right now is the result of the past, and what we do now shapes our future. And so the earth is rotating and taking care of everything. No bomb, no invention is going to destroy this earth. It's no need to fear. You are alive now. You cannot die. Yes, physically, you just take another form. But if you controlled by fear, oh, I don't want to feel that pain. You must be willing to die on your feet in revolting against something that's in violation, because you're going to die anyway in the physicalness, because everything blossoms and withers away, because that's what nature does. But it's a continual movement of positive energy. But once you get caught up in letting thought and fear control you, it's a wrap. It's, you're a servant, you're a follower, you're not a man, you're not a woman. You're in violation, so you're sick. That's not sanity. That's not the action of health. And to be healthy is to be sane. To be healthy is to investigate. You look at you see that life is action, not a definition. So you want to ask people, what is the action of health? What is the action of freedom? And it's beyond thought, because the action of health, you naturally investigate what somebody puts in front of you. You naturally ask questions. You naturally give love and observe and learn and protect. You naturally protect. You naturally revolt. It just happens naturally. So beyond thought is living natural, not naked, natural. So where you're eating natural foods, you're talking naturally. You have natural fellowship. You don't need to learn how to behave. You don't need any of that. And you're flowing. You're flowing with that positive energy. And you letting it tell you. You letting nature show and tell you.
Absolutely, King. Absolutely.
But you can't do that filled with ego. You can't do that filled with a goal to be the greatest, you know, which, look, all of those games and stuff have their place, but it has no place in fellowship and getting. This is why we have great technology, but we're still that same barbarian of centuries ago. We can't get along. You see, the animals get along better than us. I mean, they have their squabbles, that happens, but the lions go back with the lions, and the hyenas go back with the hyenas, and but they enter over and understand that this earth is for all of them. But man has to understand that this earth is for all of us. And so everything is free but humanity. Humanity is the only species paying to live on a free earth. That's got to
getting
do something to your mind.
getting taxed on a daily basis for natural lighting, natural water.
for for something that's free. Look, if you bought something, if you paid $10,000 for something, the people that's listening and Jermaine, if you paid $10,000 for something and someone came up to you, be like, "Oh," you was like, "Yeah, man, I got all this for just 10,000," and they said, well, "It's free." You would be
Yeah.
mad who made you pay 10,000, wouldn't you?
You'd be pissed off. You'd be pissing like you drunk a gallon of cranberry juice.
So when you're walking beyond thought, you don't let nobody mess with your water. You don't let nobody put towers up, messing with you don't let nobody put all these preservatives and hybrid foods in you. You don't let nobody vaccinate you when you're living beyond thought because it's a violation to what's natural. You don't want it's going to scramble your DNA. So when you're walking beyond thought, you don't let anybody treat you any kind of way because you want to sustain health and sanity. But if you let them program you and condition you into thinking, oh, we need this, we need that, and then they got you, you're going to grow up defending it. They got everybody wearing a mask. They got everybody working. But the wealthy people that's running things, they don't have any bills. The people that's telling you to eat meat, the meat you eat don't eat meat. The people that's telling you to wear a mask is not wearing a mask. The president is on TV and he has his crew on there and says, don't be in crowds of 10. It's more than 10 of them up there. None of them are wearing a mask. You got to stand in awe of the brainwashing, of the false authority the science of deception manipulates us to follow. And where there's false authority, there's false security. It's just the authority is false, the security is false. So we're going to get a lot of guns and a lot of bombs and a lot of all this. Didn't Hitler have a lot of guns and bombs and Napoleon? It didn't work. It doesn't work. It's incomplete action.
And the earth still remains.
And the earth still remains and the water still flows. You think these people are going to stop the ocean and the waters? They're crazy.
The
The earth can
earth.
quake all of this away and create a whole new species. The earth is alive. It's living. Everything on the earth is alive.
Let me show you how forgetful people are. How many of y'all out there are aware that the earth has two suns? And I'm not even going to give you the answer anyway. I'm going to let y'all think about it. We're going to leave it at that. Go ahead, Rich.
If anybody has a saltwater, anybody likes fish or aquariums or fish tanks, there's a difference between a fish tank and a saltwater tank. In the saltwater tank, everything is alive, including the rocks. Okay. And it's a lot more to that saltwater tank to take care of it. Now, on the earth itself, there's salt water and there's coral reef. You have amazing amenities and clownfish, and everything is alive in that salt water. That's earth. Everything about earth is alive.
It is crazy why the Pacific never actually mixes with the Atlantic.
Aha.
Oh man, that is funny.
So the earth has its own order. You don't need to question that because it's everything it's doing is for good. But scientists say, oh, we got to find out. This could kill us. No, you're just trying to find out. It's the science of deception that you're trying to find out to try to control it.
You ever notice how they take the science out of spirituality, and we be like, "Oh, science rule all." But when it comes to spirituality and occultism, they can't explain it. They're on the surface with it, but they flow together, and our ancestors were aware of this because they have left the notations and the imagery with on the wall, and they were far beyond any scientists today. You know what I'm saying? What's
Hmm.
the second son, Rich?
Well, in my book, I mentioned uh, that according to my book and according to this chapter also, where I end the book with the sun, and I'm saying peace to all in the last page of the book, inner peace to you all. I explain it as the universe, nature, excuse me, universe, nature, or earth, and the inner being is one holistic movement. Now, in that is whatever the universe is doing in in the field of earth and nature is good for us. Now, every star is like a sun, is great, but the gravitation and and all of that movement is one movement. It's the foundation of that grain of sand, which is that inner being. That inner being is, I explained in the book, is a light. I'm saying there's a light within you that is the same light as the sun. And I say magnify that light, because we come in this earth and we get wives, we get children, but we may not go out with them. So if you magnify that light, crisis and death won't control you to where it weakens you. If you magnify that light, um, you will be you will show your magnitude like the sun and universe, because in light that light within you that comes from out of the blackness is the sun also.
Yo,
Yeah,
Rich.
in within you.
Rich. I have to read this. This was a tweet from Bill Mitchell. He says, "While death is sad for the living left behind, for the dying, it's merely a passage out of this physical body to a spiritual existence, free of this mortal coil. If one turns off the radio, the music is still there. For all we know, the dead weep for us." A white man just said that.
Well, you know,
King, King, what have you been talking about this whole time we've been on here?
talking about the existence, the action of freedom, the existence that's beyond thought.
But he just said that in his
Yes.
own way, right? And they know, they know what it is. They know what it is. And a lot of us, we like Rich said, we put name to things. For those of you that's fidgeting with what's the second son in science class or whatever you want to call it, they call it the Earth's core, right? Yeah, it's beneath the Earth. Yes, that's the second son. FYI, I just wanted to say that to you guys. Like, what do you mean the Earth has two suns? Yes, that's the second one, and they both speaks to each other. Go beyond the surface. Don't take my words for it. Words are spells and curses. Remember?
Yeah, and the when one looks within themselves, within, looking within, there's a light. We magnify that light by walking without selfish motives, not letting this science of deception manipulate us away from the inner peace that we are all born with. But the outer cancels out the inner, and the inner cancels out the outer. If you're if you're flowing with your inward heart or soul that's one with the universe and nature and earth, it cancels out the superficiality of the surface uh, things that have no meaning, the superficial life. You know, if cars and money and houses is your peace can be taken away, because that's all the science of deception of thought. It's a false sense of security. I'm in the military, I'm secure. I have a job, I'm secure. That's all superficialness. On this great platform, we want people to go beyond the surface. There's not security. Security is the is seeing and inner and over and understanding that the present now is undivided and the only existence that's alive. The past is dead. What we do now shapes the future, and there's protection in that. If we magnify our light and we're existing with uh, that wholly immeasurable, that existence that is the order of the universe and the flowing of nature, there's no death in that. Where there's life, there's no death. We just take different forms like water. The earth, that light comes from the blackness of carbon and the source of life. That's why the root of the great tree is in blackness. No matter how great the stars and radiant and all the gases and existence in outer space, it can't outshine the blackness behind it. Inside your body is holistically one with that universe, nature, and earth. And inside your body is dark, it's blackness. It's like you cut the body, it'll bleed just like any other human being, but inside is the blackness. The pineal gland is carbon, it's blackness. And this is what my book is about. My book is about looking at this and listening to it in a meditative walk without an interpreter, without someone telling you how to look, how to live, how to dress, how to have sex, how to breathe, how to live. You know, all those things have their place, but you are you. You are unique yet universal.
But but
I'm talking
look,
about living and walking
but
in the
look, King,
freedom.
King. Mary put up a post earlier, and it says this so-called disease is really starting to show us how much control we don't have, right? And that put things into perspective for you, because as much as you rant and say I'm a grown ass man, I got this job, I got this amount of currency, I'm better than you, and blah blah blah, this that and a third, they're showing you otherwise.
Yes, but that is a result. See, you don't want control at all. See, beyond thought is about not being controlled. It's freedom. Beyond thought is walking in freedom. Now, what is freedom? What's the action of freedom, Rich Lamar? The action of freedom is not trying to control and not being controlled. This is my main point of the book, and I'm glad that MEN-talRollaDeK is giving me the opportunity to say this. And this is the main point. And this is the last chapter and the last um, session of the book in this of these sessions. So ultimately, I am saying that the action of freedom is not trying to be controlled, not trying to control, and not being controlled. You don't, where there's thought, there's control. Thought is a controller. So once you buy into government, once you buy into a job as security and military as security, once you buy into ego and society, you think, you get manipulated. Now, when they have you where they want you, now you see that you don't really control or own anything. because you've been bamboozled, you've been fooled, you've been run amok, you've been manipulated, you've been deceived by the science of deception. Now we don't need your labor. We don't need you. We used you to build everything. That job that you have, that money that you thought you have, that house, that car, you're just paying for privilege. Now we're making you stay in that house. Now we're showing you who's boss because you believed us. It's like being in part of something and you've been tricked, you've been fooled. Now you feel nah, 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 right?
Was that kid from the Simpsons?
Psych.
Yikes.
See, they get us all involved into these things created by thought, which is temporary. And when we investigate, the investigator says, hey, there's another conspiracy theorist. Hey, there's another person that thinks like that. When you investigate the investigator, but the same person that's telling you to wear a mask is not wearing a mask. The meat you eat don't eat meat. You've been fooled. But my book is
We all
saying,
have.
look
We all have.
beyond that.
We all have.
Yes, we all have. We're all guilty. We're all guilty. We all supported these corporations who go rape little kids. Yes, so when something happens to you, you got to ask the universe, what took you so long? Because I supported this too. Rich Lamar is guilty too. Yeah, I had a big ego and wanted to shine and believe government and taxes and all this stuff and oh yeah, America is the best, and I put the flag up. Yes, separated myself from the rest of the world. Yes.
A banner, by the way. It's not a flag.
Well,
FYI for those that's in tuned with things. Since y'all like to study books and y'all read a lot, and Jermaine gets on here and play dumb a lot of times, but yeah, it's not a flag, it's a banner. Look that up. Oh, let me I'm gonna say something before I let you close, Rich. For instance, like even the pastor, right? Take Pastor Jamal Bryan, for instance, the pastor that offers 1,000 COVID-19 tests to minority for $150 a piece. Then he canceled the event. You're already pimping people within the church by telling them to give you 10%. The same 10% they should be given to themselves. All men that's grown and in tune within themselves are aware when you get a paycheck, you pay yourself first. That 10% goes to you before you pay everybody else. FYI, look
yes,
beyond the surface.
yes,
You pay you. How you gonna work for what you work for and pay everybody else before you pay you?
yes, exactly.
That is stupid. That is poverty. And then you turn around, oh, I'm poor. And you sink that stupid ass mindset and create your reality and make it haunt you for the rest of your life. You on your deathbed, and then you leave your kids with hundreds and thousands of dollars of debt. You created that. Period. And it is what it is. But we really need to start looking beyond the damn surface, man, and stop taking things for face value. Rich, what's that favorite quote you say? The action you're looking at is not necessarily what?
The action, the explanation is not the explained.
Okay. Why?
Because action is life. The action of life is already explained. You explain yourself in the action. Is not the written definition. What nature is doing is showing you in the present now what's going on. But if our perception is managed, and someone tells you this is how you look at the sun, this is how you dress, this is how you be secure. Now that's managing your perception. You don't see it. You're looking at it through somebody else's eyes. That's the authority we need to get rid of. We need to look for ourselves. We need to be still. Being still doesn't mean standing still, or it means being aware in the undivided now. Be aware, look around. You throw something down for a bird is aware. The bird looks all around. It just doesn't go straight for it. He looks around. Even when he sits by it, he doesn't immediately start eating. He looks around. He's got to stay aware, got to stay alive. But the bird has to know it for himself or herself. But we as humans, we let people tell us how to live. This is how we got into this crisis. We let people tell us everything. We let people interpret everything for us.
Go drink milk. You need wheat. You need flour. You
Yes.
need soy. You need this. You need that. It's funny. How many of y'all are within tune to know that when you're supposedly hungry, you're just dehydrated? You need water. How many people is aware of that?
That awareness is the action of nature. That is the action of being still. Be aware. And sometimes you have to stand still to be aware. It's like being lost. The first thing you do is stop and try to gather yourself. Being still is the action of meditation. It doesn't mean silence all the time. Being still is just using the word. You can be aware in moving. You could be aware in walking. This is why when you're walking and looking around, that awareness you bring great solutions and ideas to certain things that have the path to it. But ultimately, the inner peace of walking around, you see the awareness of the present now, that all solutions are there. Or driving. You don't have to be folding your hands in the closet or in a dark place. You could be walking. You could be driving. As long as you're not letting thought control you, as long as you're not letting somebody interpret things for you. You're looking at life without an interpreter. You're learning firsthand. If I get it from somebody telling me how, that's secondhand. So no matter how great the religious book, no matter how great that Bible is, you're a secondhand person because you're not experiencing that firsthand.
I've never
Because
been to Jamaica, man. But they told me it's shit.
right, right,
I've never seen that movie, but I have knowledge on it.
right.
You're
This,
wrong. You're not correct. Go experience it for yourself. Yeah, my
yes,
friend told me this. My friend told me that. You are not your friend. You are the one doing the living. So therefore, live. Because eventually you're going to die. And death doesn't end with all that people state. It ends with, because nobody has ever went beyond that realm and took a selfie and came back like, look, this is what death looked like.
right,
A
exactly.
lot of us die every single day because it's experience, it's trials, there's errors, it's endeavors, it's things that we go through. When you get over a hump, you have died to that hump you got over, to whatever you may have experienced per that particular time. You may have been broke, tore down, hurt, within tears, depression, shackled up, but now you are free. That's another form of debt. But guess what? You still have to experience this. And beyond thought, living without hurt and depression shows you that, because Rich has died and came back in the form of his true righteousness. I can't tell you what Rich life is like. Only Rich can tell you that. And I yield with that. And I'm going to let the king close on everything else. Mr. Lamar, don't get silent now. Hey, Rich,
Hey man,
don't.
I was just enjoying what you were saying.
Oh, I
But
thought you was getting scared. Like, yo, here he go again ranting.
nah, Jermaine, you're my brother. I appreciate you and this platform. This is only the beginning, but this is the Beyond Thought chapter of my book, Beyond Thought: Living Without Hurt and Depression. And this book, we're gonna talk more about the book, but this is the end of this session of 10. And and again, my brother Jermaine made this possible, and all who's been with us since session 1. My gratitude to you and all the new people listening. We're gonna do more of this. We look at life deeply. We're with you in this crisis, and I'll speak for the book and close in this way. Uh, I want people to know that you should not want, because where there's want and where there's comparing and expecting, that creates depression. You open the door for depression. Not saying that those things don't have their place in sports and all of that, but even in sports you can get depressed, and because there's a lot of wanting and expecting there. But I'm talking about the inner peace of life. The inner peace of life is the light within you you're born with, and magnify that light. What I'm saying in the book is to magnify your light, because light you are. Stay in the light, not on a path. Meaning, ultimately, you're in the light where you're walking without a selfish motive. You have fellowship with your fellow man or woman. You're but a grain of sand, but the root of you is immeasurable. You're unique yet universal. And life is not about problems, it's about solutions. You're a living solution. If you be you, you are part of the solution of the world. But if you're filled with ego and trying to be somebody else, and trying to say, look at me, you're part of the problem. The simplicity of life is the righteousness of life, which is you're walking without a selfish motive. You're walking in the awareness of the present now. The now is the only existence alive. It contains everything because it's the result of the past, and it shapes your future. If we stand and revolt now against evil, it shapes a clear future of good. So that is the solution. The solution is inward revolution, the inner peace. And we have to uncover and discover it. You can't discover inner peace following leaders, traditions, organized religions, being sanctioned by some Ivy League authority or school or university, or pat on the back on an award, or military, or representing a flag or symbol. Security is not a good job. Being a slave to society, gaining wholeness in the form of so-called success and wealth of knowledge. Inner peace is not an idea. It's not becoming. It's the enlightenment of being touched by the untouchable, by magnifying your light, by not being selfish. This frees a conscious mind from the science of deception, because that science of deception puts you in debt, in a deficit that you'll never get out of. It's not a belief system. Beyond thought is not a belief system where they tell you just work and we'll pay you, and then you work to 30 years and you'll retire, and you find out you've given your whole soul and life to that 30 years, and you really didn't get anything out of it in terms of inner peace. It's not a belief system to where they say to where it says do this or die. When anything tells you to do this or die, it's a lie. You don't want to get involved in anything. You don't want to sign any contract because that's debt. Debt is there. DEPT. Where there's debt, there's death and sickness and confusion and past. You want to live debt free. Freedom is the action of being debt free. And that's what Beyond Thought is living naturally, debt free. And in that, my friends, I say inner peace to you all. Be-
Did you just add a P instead of a B?
I said inner peace.
You spelled depth.
Debt, DEBT as T as a time. It sounded like P. No, it wasn't the T. Sometimes my T sound like P.
That was funny. I had to check my ears. I had to have a
Yeah.
conversation with my ears, King. I'm sorry. I wanted to correct you, bro. I'm like, that's not what I heard. Go ahead.
Yeah, because on this thing, I've been talking all week. I talk all day, every day. When I say no debt and I spell it out, it sounds like a P.
Man, I can't wait for him to shut up, man. He goes for days, y'all. Like, look, it's about to be 2 hours. We're supposed to be doing this for 90 minutes.
Oh, well, with Jermaine, you get long with it. You want to put your 2 cents in, it winds up being $40,000.
Yeah, man, I be ranting in here. Like, you getting passionate on y'all. But, hey, King, with all sincerity, man, I am humbled and grateful for you to be a part of the Mental Rolodeck family. I'm grateful to have met you. I'm grateful to learn from you. I'm grateful for all that you represent and all that you bring to the community. And for all the people that you're aided, have hated, and continue to aid, no matter what, with your voice and your action and your physical being. I want to say overall to you, gratitude.
Yeah, my gratitude to you. We're brothers. This is only the beginning. We just went through the book, but I can't say enough for the people that's listening. This platform has a lot in store, and stay with us because we're talking about solutions. My book is about solutions. Let's talk about solutions. Let's not argue over feudal issues. And because this is the last session of the book, I want people, if you get anything out of this, of the 10 sessions, you can go back to MEN-talRollaDeK and look at all 10. But I want you to never forget, live debt free. I know it sounds like a P, but yeah, live debt free. If anything puts you in debt, get away from it. It's the same way with eating right. If anything makes you give your body pain, don't eat it. But live debt free. And debt is just not financially. I'm not talking about financial debt. DEBT as in time. I must say that because the T sounds like P. Live debt free. Debt is not always financial. Debt could be indebted to someone. You don't owe anybody anything, whether it's a favor or no. There's no owing. You have fellowship. Don't let anything put you in a deficit.
Don't attach yourself to anything.
Yes, that is it. Don't no attachments. Keep flowing. And if you like this book, if you like what we've been saying, you can email me at Rich Lamar 18 at yahoo.com. That's RICHLAMAR 18 at Yahoo. And you can read the book I'll email you the book for a donation of $10. Or you can Google Beyond Thought by Rich Lamar on Amazon. It's a $20 book. It'll take you right to Amazon. Or you can call me at 702-610-0687. That's my business card, The No Stress Life, where I help people with depression and cleansing the body with herbs and veggies and discuss the book also. Or you can catch me here at MEN-talRollaDeK, and Jermaine will tell you more about that.
Hold on there. The Rasta come back, make I say something. Yo, Jermaine, stop trying to hold me out of this thing, yeah. Make I say something. For the item, I want correspond with the MEN-talRollaDeK family. Just go ahead and follow the King Jermaine, and send me a friendship. And then after you send me the friendship, just inbox me about the live if you have anything you want to chat about. Come talk to the So follow the like and subscribe on YouTube at MEN-talRollaDeK. Then hit up Twitter and follow the at MEN-talRollaDeK. Then hit up IG and follow the at MEN-talRollaDeK to inquire about the group. Like I stated before, just send the a friend request at King Jermaine. And with that, I'll get the baby Rasta back in mic. I'm out. Blessings, love and peace to the I and I. Yo, what's wrong with this dude, man? It's always butting in, man. What the hell?
Yeah, you always give your 2 cents that winds up being 40,000.
What you mean, man? That ain't me, King. What you mean?
I know, that's
my
that third
2
voice.
cents,
I love that Jamaican voice.
Yo.
I wish I could talk Jamaican. I'm going to start talking Jamaican.
Yo, Bridgin, with the I try to play the because I come in and I want to say something. You know, nothing nice without Rasta.
Hey, that's another live. We're going into another live. We're going to go into another day. We keep going.
Shout out to the Bob Marley, and to everybody we're out there. Love, peace, be safe, connect with your family. Stop trying to kick out your picnic out of the house. And enjoy your family, because connection is everything. Look on the universe as it flow. Be the flow. Don't try to force the flow. Because a river no force nothing. Just flow and overcome when it overcome. Little more. And we're out. Positive energy. Hold on there. A rich line that.
Positive energy to all.
And we're gone, Rasta. Bumbuckler.